Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my classic USFL franchise with the New Orleans Breakers. The league is now at the end of week 4, and I kind of wanted to make a video and kind of summarize what's been going on with our Breakers and with the USFL as a whole. If you've been following the games I've been live streaming, you kind of know some of this already. The Breakers are 2-2 on the year, kind of struggling for the most part. We are in a bit of a logjam in the NFC South at 2-2, as we're in a three-way tie for second place, and the Birmingham Stallions are sitting there at 3-1, leading the division. Breakers offense has been struggling much of the year so far, especially at the quarterback position. C.J. Stroud, as you can see, he has just as many interceptions as touchdowns in the first 4 games, with three apiece. The biggest complaint I have so far is the wide receiver position for the Breakers. Wide receivers just aren't getting much separation, and they're not making any big plays in the offense. As you can see, the top 2 players in terms of receptions for the Breakers are not wide receivers. We have Juwan Johnson, who's had a great year so far. He's had 3 touchdowns so far, but he's leading the team in receptions. And Algier, the running back, is actually the second leading receiver. So we might need to look into maybe looking into adding a wide receiver to the team, somebody who can make some big plays. So that's something for us to continue to monitor, as Chris Olave just hasn't broken out, and I think he's been injured part of the year. He's always had trouble with injuries, and he's our best receiver, so that certainly hasn't helped anything. But as you can see in the offensive team statistics so far, Breakers only averaging 16 points a game. That's near the bottom of the league in both total in points scored, and they're below average in passing yardage per game offensively. So that is certainly something the Breakers have been struggling with so far this year. If you look at the injury report, Breakers are going to be without Graham Barton, their young starting center. He's been placed on injured reserve. He's only a 78 overall, but he's by far the best center on our roster. And so that's been a bit of a factor as well. Breakers will also be without Christian Darrisaw, our star left tackle, with a back strain. That's a short-term injury, but we will not have him available for our next game. So the injuries have been a bit of a problem as well. Taking a quick look at our 4 games that we have played so far. In our opening game at Tampa Bay, Breakers did lose 21-6. Struggled offensively, obviously, in that game. Bijan Robinson had a great game against us, rushing for 112 yards, averaging 5.6 yards a carry, and what was just somewhat of a dominating performance for Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Breakers couldn't get anything going offensively. C.J. Stroud throwing an interception in this one, and not able to score a touchdown. Just overall, not a good game overall for the Breakers in that one. In week 2, Breakers go back home to New Orleans and lose 24-23 to the Barcelona Dragons. The Dragons making a bit of a comeback in this one, as the Breakers had the lead late to the 4th quarter. But Justin Herbert scores a touchdown near the end of the game to give them the victory here. Herbert scoring 3 touchdowns and to go along with just 1 interception in this one, as Barcelona did just enough offensively to win this game. The star of this one was Cortland Sutton out of SMU for the Dragons. He had 8 receptions for 163 yards. He absolutely just killed the Breakers in this game. And so that dropped us to 0-2 on the year. So it was not a good start to the 2025 season for us. In week 3, Breakers are able to bounce back against the defending USFL champions, the Berlin Thunder, coming away with a 22-17 victory in this one. CJ Stroud did score 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions in this one. But it was enough for the Breakers to come up with the victory in this one. Juwan Johnson was the star, I think, for the Breakers offense in this one, as he had 5 receptions, but those 5 receptions went for 113 yards. And he was able to get 2 touchdowns in this one. And so the Breakers were able to get their first victory of the season against the defending champions. And in week 4, the Breakers win their second game in a row, beating the Arizona Wranglers 13-10 in a defensive struggle for both teams in this one. Stroud's able to stay turnover free in this one, completing 21-33 for a touchdown and no interceptions. Algier was able to get a 100-yard rushing game in this one on 24 carries. And Juwan Johnson once again led the team in receptions in this one with 8 receptions for 70 yards. And so that brings the Breakers to 2-2 on the year. And hopefully our offense can get back in gear and we can improve our standing in the division. So looking across the USFL, and the big story so far this year has been just surprising starts for many of the teams that did really well last year, particularly the 2 teams who made it to the USFL Championship last year, the Berlin Thunder and the Philadelphia Stars, have both kind of struggled out of the gate so far this season. Philadelphia Stars starting out at 2-2, and the Berlin Thunder starting at 1-3. Both teams just struggling out of the gate. So that's been a surprise. We also have teams like the Las Vegas Vipers, who didn't really have a great season last year, starting out undefeated at 4-0. The Vipers are led by Anthony Richardson, who's had a hot start with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. They of course also have Jamar Chase on the team, who's at a 98 overall. Chase has started the year with 20 receptions for 310 yards. Only has 1 interception, but he's still a force to be dealt with on that team. And they're currently sitting there at 3rd in the USFL in points scored so far at the beginning of the year. They're even ahead of the Portland Prowlers, who of course made a deep run into the playoffs last year. And they of course have Patrick Mahomes, who is sitting at 3-1 on the year. Sticking to the AFC, we have the European teams who are doing really well, like the Frankfurt Galaxy. They have Jake Daniels at quarterback, who's having a great year for a rookie. He's thrown 6 touchdowns so far. Although he's had 4 interceptions, he's done a good job leading that team to a 4-0 record. They have A.J. Brown on that team with 25 receptions to start the year. He hasn't had any touchdowns yet, however, but yet they are 4-0, and they're tied with the London Monarchs, which certainly isn't a surprise there. London had a great year last year. Jordan Allen is the quarterback for the Monarchs, and Jordan Allen might be the MVP of the league so far, as he's had 10 touchdowns to go along with no interceptions so far this year. Allen's just having a great year so far, nearly perfect. The number 1 team in the power rankings so far in the first 4 weeks. So the London Monarchs just off to a great start this year. In the NFC, things are a little bit more cluttered up, but the Michigan Panthers are off to a great start at 4-0. Of course, they have Kyler Murray and Tyreek Hill on the team. They've been playing solid football. The defense is really what's been the surprising aspect of that team. Given they have two, some pretty good stars in Saquon Barkley and Tyreek Hill on offense, it's really their defense that's been carrying them, as they lead the USFL in takeaways for the first 4 weeks. And also, they're second in the USFL in points given up, and only giving up 15 points a game. So, the Michigan Panthers off to a tremendous start so far at 4-0, and they are the lone undefeated team in the NFC. And taking a quick look at the power rankings, as I mentioned earlier, London Monarchs are sitting there at 4-0. They actually play our New Orleans Breakers in our next game, so that's going to be a tough matchup for the Breakers. The Frankfurt Galaxy sitting there at number 2, also undefeated. They have the Baltimore Brigade next. The surprising Las Vegas Vipers are 4-0. They're sitting there at number 3. And the Portland Prowlers and Patrick Mahomes is sitting there at 3-1 at number 4. So all 4 of those teams, those top 4 teams, are all in the AFC. And at number 5, you have the Michigan Panthers at 4-0 from the NFC. So that's a quick overview of the USFL so far these first 4 weeks. I hope you're enjoying the live streams. My primary focus now is live streaming the games. I feel like that's the best approach for me to take with regard to broadcasting my league. I hope you enjoy the new format. Be sure and let me know how you like it and any improvements you'd like to see. This USFL mod that I'm using is now available on the Madden modding Discord. I finally was able to release it this past week. So be sure and check it out if you have any type of interest in the USFL. And that's going to end the video. Be sure and look forward to more live streams of the USFL action. Week 5 is coming up. Be sure and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.